A tense exchange unfolded on Capitol Hill today as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent faced sharp questioning over President Donald Trump's promise of a manufacturing golden age.
Senator Warnock.
Thank you, Chair Scott, and welcome, Secretary Bessent. President Trump promised that his administration would usher in a, quote, golden age of American manufacturing. In September 2024, at a rally in my home state of Georgia, Donald Trump said, quote, "We're going to have a manufacturing boom." Secretary Bessent, we're now more than 1 year into the Trump administration. Yes or no? Has there been a manufacturing boom in the United States?
There are the beginnings of a manufacturing boom. We have intentions, factory groundbreakings, sir.
So your answer to that is yes, there's been a manufacturing boom?
That we are at the beginning of a manufacturing boom.
Okay, you and I could agree to disagree, but more importantly, manufacturers are telling us something different. Manufacturers are struggling because of the president's policies, and that's what they keep telling us, and the facts keep telling us. In fact, just this past Monday, the Wall Street Journal published this article entitled, "U.S. Manufacturing is in Retreat, and Trump's tariffs aren't helping." I request consent to enter this article into the hearing record, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection.
Secretary Bessent, do you know how many manufacturing jobs the United States has lost since Liberation Day in April 2025, when the president first announced his tariffs?
Yes, Senator, because you were out of the room, but it was already brought up.
We do many things, sir. I don't need you to tell me where I was.
72,000, and I will point out that the Wall Street Journal
72,000
is not called the Main Street Journal, and they care more about Wall Street than Main
Sir,
Street.
I'm not asking you to opine on the Wall Street Journal. I have 3 minutes. Just answer the questions that I'm actually asking you. So 72,000 manufacturing jobs, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Thank you for answering the question. Manufacturers shed workers in each of the 8 months after President Trump unveiled his tariffs on what he called Liberation Day. I would submit that it's a strange liberation and a curious freedom that leaves you unemployed. Even worse, smaller businesses are struggling to keep up with the tariff chaos. Big manufacturers may have the resources to shift suppliers. And I need you to understand the spirit of my questions. I spend a lot of time talking to the people in Georgia who've given me the great honor of representing them in the United States Senate. And so this is about them, and especially our small businesses. They don't have the ear of the president. They don't have access to Mar-a-Lago. And so they're not able to insulate their company from the worst of the tariff. Secretary Bessent, small businesses without the same resources or unfettered access to the president, what should those businesses do for the relief if they can't get into Mar-a-Lago?
Again, sir, small business confidence is up, and we are seeing that the one big beautiful bill gives the full expensing for equipment, factories, and ag structures.
They are telling us that it's more expensive to make basic things. We are moving in the wrong direction. The facts don't lie. The president lies often, but the facts don't lie. In fact, if you're saying we're at the beginning, basically your answer to those small businesses is wait a little while. Is that the answer? That a year from
you ask about manufacturing.
That's right.
So
I'm asking you,
and I am saying
I'm asking you about this manufacturing boom. Will we see something different a year from now?
We are going to see it. I was just in my home state, Senator Scott's state, South Carolina, that we are seeing a boom there. And I believe Georgia has very good pro-business policies. I'm sure you will see a boom there also. The factory build intentions are quite high.
I'll tell you what I see. I see, as I talk to folks, that it's more expensive to build things in America. I see that we've lost 72,000 jobs a year into this administration. We've lost manufacturing jobs every month since he called for Liberation Day. And meanwhile, folks who are working in these small businesses trying to make their lives work, they're seeing higher costs. They're seeing their costs go up for groceries. They're seeing their costs go up for electricity. They're seeing their costs go up for healthcare. And I think the American people are still waiting for a solution. So far, we haven't seen one coming out of this Trump tariffs regime. The Baptist preacher is done, and I have no time left. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary.
Inflation.
Hey, Senator Ricketts.
It started with a simple, direct question from Senator Orno. Has there been a manufacturing boom in the United States? Yes or no? That question cuts to the heart of one of the administration's biggest economic promises. Back in September 2024, during a rally in Georgia, President Trump told supporters the country was on the brink of a manufacturing boom. He painted a picture of factories roaring back to life, American workers returning to high-paying industrial jobs, and the United States reclaiming its dominance in global production. Now, more than a year into the administration, lawmakers are asking whether that promise has materialized or whether it remains a projection of future intentions. Secretary Bessent did not give a clean yes or no. Instead, he responded that the country is at the beginning of a manufacturing boom and pointed to factory groundbreakings as evidence. That phrasing matters. The beginning of a boom is not the same thing as a measurable boom. It signals optimism and direction, not necessarily results. This is where the debate becomes more complex and more important for everyday Americans to understand. When politicians talk about a manufacturing boom, what do they actually mean? Are we talking about announcements of new factories or actual increases in output? Are we measuring job creation, wage growth, capital investment, or supply chain resilience? Each of these metrics can tell a different story. The senator pushed back by citing manufacturers who say they are struggling under the weight of the president's tariff policies. Tariffs are taxes placed on imported goods. The idea behind them is to make foreign products more expensive so that domestic producers become more competitive. Uncertainty is a critical factor here. Manufacturing investments are long-term decisions. Companies spend billions of dollars building factories that may operate for decades. They want stable trade policies, predictable regulations, and steady demand. When trade policy shifts abruptly, whether through new tariffs or retaliatory measures from other countries, it can slow decision-making. The most pointed moment came when the senator asked how many manufacturing jobs the United States has lost since what he referred to as Liberation Day in April 2025, when the president first announced the tariffs. Secretary Bessent replied that the issue had already been discussed earlier in the hearing. This exchange highlights a broader issue that viewers should pay attention to. Political leaders often emphasize different slices of data to support their narrative. One side may focus on factory groundbreakings and announced investments. The other may highlight short-term job losses or declining output indices. Both can be technically accurate while telling very different stories. To truly understand whether there is a manufacturing boom, Americans should look at several indicators at once. Manufacturing employment levels, industrial production data, capital expenditures, real wage growth in the sector, and export volumes all paint part of the picture.